bin ein Berliner.
I see so many paintings here. This is your scratch, that's how you work.
This is my studio. This is how I, for better or for worse, this is where I work.
So you wake up at night and then you start, if you have an idea?
I have a 4-year-old boy, so my train is on the tracks. I have to get up and go to the kita and yeah, so I'm up at, I suppose, around 6:30. I go to bed around 11 o'clock. It's pretty
normal.
Yeah.
For an artist.
Yeah.
Tell me, where were you born and were you raised?
Well, I was born someplace between my grandmother's place and where we actually lived, where I actually grew up in New York City. So I was unterwegs. I was unterwegs geboren. So that my parents were actually in a car.
No.
Yeah, going from one place to the other. So I was born in transit.
Oh, that is so interesting. Which car was it? You know?
My father drove a Mercedes-Benz at the time. It was quite a nice one, actually. It was a German car. He loved the German Mercedes-Benz. It was a 1959 220S. It was a really nice car.
So if you one day meet one of the CEOs from Mercedes, you should tell them that story. Maybe you get a free one.
Maybe they would be interested in helping us with placing the house. I mean, for them, 10 million euros is nothing. So.
And when did you then discover, I want to do something with art?
Well, I just wanted to survive, really. I really didn't want to go back to the United States. I studied a little bit in the United States literature, comparative literature. But for comparative literature, you need a degree in a language. You need to speak a second language. In America, we're typically not geared towards being very open about the second language. So I remember, Carrie was castigated for speaking French, and Romney, whose French is not perfect, he was also castigated for being able to speak a second language, which is really bizarre. We're actually reaching out to other cultures is somehow forbidden. We also have the famous change from French fries to freedom fries. If you remember that, that's a really low point of our cultural openness. So yeah, so in order to learn a second language, I moved to Europe. I went to Paris and I attempted to learn French, and then I moved to Italy and I learned Italian. And then I just stayed. And the way I stayed is I really wanted to make movies. But I wasn't capable of, I wasn't a group person. I wasn't able to organize groups of people. So I relied on myself. I said, okay, if I can't do that, then I would just make the movie with single images out of paint. And that's where my career began. I managed to live from my work for the past 21 years.
Came eventually to Germany. When was that?
Well, I was living in Naples, where everything is dysfunctional, everyone is dysfunctional, and the people in Naples, they love their lifestyle, but they dream of a world that works. The first word that you learn in Naples is guasto, and guasto means broken. So you go to reach for the telephone to call your mother if you were like me, 20 years old, living abroad, and you couldn't find a public phone that was functional. They were always missing some critical piece. So they dreamt of Germany, of course, because Germany, for the Napoletani, the Germany was the place where everything works. So therefore, there's a solid lifestyle where you can actually depend on your stipendium.
Good autos.
Yeah, and good. Yeah, began to dream also of the German functionality, being able to, and my first move from Italy,
When was that? What year?
It was 1999.
Yeah.
It was to Munich. And my first outreach was to Galerie Bern-Klüser in Munich. And we worked really well together for a couple of years. And I actually moved to Munich for a short period of time. Little did I know that there was a vibrant world here in Berlin waiting for me. So then I went to Berlin, because I kept hearing about it. You have to come to Berlin, you have to go. And then I actually did. And then I moved to Berlin. And then I met my now wife, who is from Berlin, from Neukölln.
And what do we see here? That it's one of the latest works you do?
Yeah, it's not finished yet, but the portrait is it's like canceled out by the words "out of touch." And the touch is not finished. The painting is still a little bit wet. It has to be finished, but just like this idea that at some point in your life you can become obsolete. You know, the idea that Rosa Parks' house had become incredibly neglected and abandoned was part of obsolescence. You know, she had to be rediscovered. You have to rediscover things in life. So the idea of being out of touch is really becoming obsolete. But then there's also this thing about, you know, tactile, to touch someone, to be able to be in contact with someone, also to love someone. And that's what painting is about. It's also about touching, because it's very physical work. I'm constantly having to adjust things and to take away with the tips of my fingers. So it's out of touch as well that the painting is crafted.
Just recently was Gallery Weekend. Too bad I couldn't be there.
During Gallery Weekend, we had a part of the Black community here in Berlin, expatriates who have been living here for over 20 years, some 30, some 40 years have been living here, like Loomis Green, Queen Yana, Jocelyn B. Smith, and Monica. She was also here. She was the moderator, and she needed a moderator for herself because she's so especially talented. Along with one artist from Detroit, they came and they made a tribute to Rosa Parks.
It was probably incredible year for you to bring Rosa Parks' house in your garden, and your wife documented everything.
Yeah, and it was viewed at Kino Babylon, appropriately at Rosa Luxemburg Platz.
Yeah, and I can show a trailer so the people have a view. And where can they else see the whole movie?
Well, she was recently offered the next production, so she's now going to have a producer for her next film, and the film that she already made, The White House, this film will be managed now by the new producer, so it's a very exciting time for her as well.
Now we're almost coming to the end. We're going to go outside again, and you tell me the newest development of the house, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. 'Cause when I go to my Jesus, I pray, Jesus, help me please. And he winds up picking me up, spending me back on my. You know, there've been times when
I was up there popping off the last piece of the roof, and I was thinking, I'm so hungry and I'm so thirsty. And then all of a sudden Anne said from across the street, all my children come.
She sure did. She said, all my children, come on.
Yes, now we are here where we began, and now we're ending here, but it's not the end, because there's great developments with your Rosa Parks house.
Absolutely, and we're going to have the thing is that here where I live, this is a private Grundstück.
You live right next door, yeah?
Yeah, I live there, and the Rosa Parks house is here, and every morning I wake up and I look out the window, make sure it's still there. But when I look out the window, I also see here during the day groups of people come, even though that they know it's closed, and they want to catch a peek of the house. They want to see the house as it stands, and they come from all over the world too. And when they come to Berlin, this is one of the things that they want to see. So on average, maybe 50, 60 people come every day, and it's a pity because there's no opening time because it's basically closed. So I would like to see the house go back to America, and I would like to see it be brought back to life and kept alive through music. And there's some people who are very sensitive to Rosa Parks and to this house and to the project. So we'll see if they are the ones to champion this cause. The Rosa Parks house needs a real hero, and that hero will come forward in order to take the house back. I don't want to see, you know, there's a Chinese investor who would like to bring the house to Peking, and this is, as an artist, this is a perfect solution because it's the wrong solution. So if I want to be controversial, I'll take the money and give it to Rhea Macaulay, Rosa Parks' niece, so that she can run her foundation in Detroit. And I will be satisfied because I know that the world will not be able to digest this information. But the better solution is that the black community in America comes forward, and they can even come forward together. You know, they could, different people could come together to raise the money in order to bring the house back to the United States. But slowly, you know, the Smithsonian has come forward, the Henry Ford Museum has come forward.
There's a Black History museum in Washington, D.C. now.
Yeah, there are murmurs now coming from the museum, the African American Museum as well. So we're just waiting to see who is going to be smart enough to be the fastest to champion this cause.
I'm looking forward, and then maybe we get together again in a couple of months and do My Berlin with Rosa Parks House Part 2.
Okay, I'll be here.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thank you.
I'm now at the end of My Berlin. I hope you enjoyed, and I say auf Wiedersehen.
Wie es lacht. Das ist Berlin, wie es weint und wie es lacht.